Wow, that was a good old-fashioned beatdown by the Toronto Raptors. They just destroyed the Detroit Pistons wire to wire, 142 to 113. This was a no doubt about it win for the Raptors. The Pistons never led. The Raptors led by as many as 40. As the Toronto Raptors get to 6-7 on the season, the Detroit Pistons lose their 11th straight game. They are now 2-12, and I know things could get bad with the Toronto Raptors, but it's games like this against terrible teams like the Pistons that remind you maybe, we don't have it that bad being a Raptors fan, because the Detroit Pistons, guys, they suck. Like, this is a terrible team. And I mean, I can only imagine what Pistons fans are going through right now. This is a team that they haven't been to the playoffs since 2018, 19. They haven't won a playoff game since 2008. They've been in the lottery for what feels like forever. And this was the season under new head coach Monty Williams where the Pistons were supposed to show some promise, show some fight, show that they were making progressions towards a better future. But I mean, this team has shown nothing through the first 14 games, and this feels like a throwaway season for them. So I just want to get that out of the way. This is not meant to be a Pistons slander pod, but the Detroit Pistons, they got to figure something out, because that is inexcusable for their franchise and their fans who have to watch that pathetic excuse of basketball, because that was just terrible from them. The Raptors, listen, I'm not going to overreact to this because it is against the Detroit Pistons, but this was a solid win for them, all things considered. They needed to do what they needed to do. They got back on track, and they bullied a bad team. The Raptors shot at 53% from the field, 38% from three. They put up 142 points. That sets a record for most points in a regular season game. The Raptors, like I said, led by as many as 40. They set a franchise record for assists, 44 assists the Raptors finished with on 55 made field goals. You look at the Raptors, 10 steals to the Pistons, 3 points in the paint. Once again, dominating. That has been the Raptors' calling card this season, 70 to 52. I mean, this was just never in question win. The Detroit Pistons, I think they got it down to maybe 2 or 4 in that first quarter, and that was it. Raptors had called the timeout, and then they busted this game wide open as Cade Cunningham, the only positive for this Pistons team. He had 18. A couple of bench guys filled it up towards the end of it there. But you look at the Raptors guys, Pascal Siakam, 23 points, 10 of 18 from the field, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal. He finally hit a 3. Pascal Siakam, after missing, I think it was 18 straight threes in a row, finally hit a 3. And yeah, he finally gets that monkey off his back in terms of getting a 3 to fall. He was a plus 23. OG Anunoby, welcome back. He started. Obviously, he missed the last couple of games with a finger laceration. This team is night and day better with OG's presence on the court. He did struggle from the field, which is expected, as he's going to get back into rhythm dealing with that finger injury, 1 of 6 from 3. But just having him out there was a positive. Scotty Barnes, I mean, I don't think there's going to be too much debate when it's all said and done that, we're going to look back at that 2021 draft class and say to ourselves that Scotty Barnes is definitely the number 1 pick in the redraft. Scotty Barnes was great, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, 7 of 11, 3 of 4 from 3. Only had to play 25 minutes because this game was a blowout. Dennis Schroeder, he came out hot, 17 points, 7 assists, 8 of 15 from the field. Him and Jakob Poeltl were great in the first quarter. And speaking of Yak, I want to give him a shout out because I know a lot of Raptors fans were on him after his last couple of outings. Butterfingers just being ineffective out there, got benched in the second half against the Bucks. Jakob Poeltl had a much-needed bounce-back game in his own right. 16 points. He was a plus 21, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 or 5 from the field. 6 of 6 from the field, 4 or 5 from the free throw line. Jakob Poeltl was especially good when it came to rim protection. Had 2 blocks in the first quarter, finished with 3 blocks overall. Jakob Poeltl had a really good game against the Pistons. And by the way, I forgot to mention, I know plus minus is one of those stats that you could argue is overrated, but Scotty Barnes had a game high, team high, plus 37. I mean, he was very, very effective. And like I said, the 25 minutes that he played. Raptors, 7 players finishing in double figures. Chris Boucher had 14 from off the bench, 5 of 7 from the field. Precious was really good, especially early on in his minutes. 5 of 10 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 12 points. Gary Trent Jr. had 18 points, led all bench scores on 6 of 12 shooting, 2 of 7 from 3. And then, Grady Dick got 5 points in 12 minutes. You got Flynn, who had 7, and McDaniels had 4. And like I said, the Raptors, all in all, 7 players finishing in double figures. It was a performance that they needed because obviously the Raptors, the scheduling didn't necessarily go in their favor. Taking on the Milwaukee Bucks, the Boston Celtics twice in a week. The Raptors needed a break on the schedule like this, and they got in the Detroit Pistons. This was a situation against the Pistons that was, supposed to get the Raptors back on track. The Raptors took full advantage. They took it to the Pistons. They knew they were superior to them, and you just felt that from start to finish. So this was a much-needed win for Toronto. I mean, if they somehow lost this game, the sky would have been falling. This would have been ugly. But what I really liked about this game for the Raptors is they did not play with their food. They meant all business right from the tip-off, and they just took care of business. And the Raptors, it's been a while since they had these, a performance like this where they led wire to wire. You never had to question them in the game. And this was just one of those things that, as a fan, you put your feet up on the couch because you knew this one was over. So, yeah, the Toronto Raptors get it done, guys. And this is huge because they're going to be taking on the Orlando Magic and Indiana Pacers in a back-to-back, both road games. Raptors finishing up this homestand 2-2. They beat the bad teams and the Wizards and this Pistons team. They lose to the Celtics and the Bucks. But now it's going to be interesting because the Raptors are going to be taking on a couple of teams who I had in the same tier as the Raptors coming into the season. I said that, teams like the Magic and the Pacers were going to take a step forward and be better this season. So far, that has been the case. And I did say the Raptors were in that tier. So we're going to see over these next 2 games how the Raptors look against teams like the Pacers and Magic, because the Raptors do want to be a playoff team this season. They're going to have to be better than teams like the Pacers and Magic. So we're going to get our first look at how the Raptors fare against those type of teams. I think it's going to be a great game against Orlando, 2 of the top 10 defensive teams in the NBA going at it. And Indiana's been fun to watch with the emergence of Halliburton. So, yeah, the Raptors will get a day off, and then they'll have 2 very, very pivotal Eastern Conference games early in the season to try to get back to 500 as they now are 6-7. And, we will see how they look against Indiana or Orlando and Indiana in that order. But Raptors Nation, what was your reaction to this win from the Toronto Raptors? I mean, it was nice to see the Raptors just win this type of game and you not have to worry about it because, like I said, there was never a time during this game where you thought to yourself, the Raptors might lose this game. This was just as convincing as a victory that the Raptors are probably going to get all season long. So when they come, you got to take them. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Hit a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Until next time, stay safe.